Hi, I'm Margarit. Now I'm 50 years old, and this is my story. As a daughter of divorced parents, I can tell you that divorce is better than an unhappy or unhealthy family unit. Life for me got much easier and much happier after my parents split, even though their divorce was messy and drama-filled. I was shielded from most of what was wrong between them when I was young, but I still felt it in the air, if that makes sense. It was like a huge weight was lifted off the house after everything went down. My stepdad and my little sister are also amazing, so that's a definite plus as well. You did the best possible with the situation you were in. When I was little, I didn't fully understand what was happening. I only remember the fights and the cold silences that filled the kitchen. I used to hide in my room with my little radio turned up, pretending that the music could drown out the sound of plates breaking or the angry words my parents threw at each other. When they finally told me they were separating, I cried for a while, but inside I felt something strange, like relief mixed with sadness. It was the end of something broken and maybe the start of something new. After the divorce, I stayed with my mom. She was strong but tired, and I could see how hard she tried to rebuild her life. We moved into a small apartment in town. Nothing fancy, but it was peaceful. For the first time, there were no fights at night, no slammed doors, just the sound of rain on the window and my mom humming softly while making dinner. My dad remarried a few years later, and I gained a stepmother and eventually a little sister. To my surprise, my stepmom was kind, not the cruel type you see in movies. She treated me gently and always said that families aren't made only by blood, but by love and effort. I didn't understand the depth of her words back then, but I do now. Life slowly started to make sense again. I focused on school, made a few friends, and even joined a small art club. Painting became my way of speaking when I couldn't find the right words. My mom said I had a gift, and maybe I did, but more than that, it was my escape. Every brushstroke helped me release the things I couldn't talk about. When I turned 17, I got a part-time job at a local diner. That's where I met Ethan. He was 20, worked at the car garage next door, and came in every morning for coffee. He had oil-stained hands, messy hair, and the warmest smile I had ever seen. At first, we barely talked. I would refill his coffee cup, and he would thank me quietly before heading out again. But one evening, it started to rain heavily, and I offered him an umbrella that someone had left behind. That moment changed everything. We began talking after that, just small conversations at first about weather or cars or how long our shifts were. But slowly those talks grew into something deeper. He told me about his dreams of owning his own garage someday, and I told him about my wish to study art. We were both young, both unsure of the future, but somehow when we were together everything felt possible. Ethan wasn't rich or fancy, but he was kind and honest. He would fix things for people who couldn't afford to pay him, just because he hated seeing others struggle. I saw in him the kind of goodness that can't be taught. I fell in love slowly, quietly, like a sunrise that sneaks up on you. When I told my mom about him, she was hesitant at first. She worried that I was too young, that life would be hard. But she saw how much he cared for me, and eventually she accepted him. Ethan and I got married a few years later in a small ceremony behind the diner where we met. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. Our first years together were filled with love and struggle. We didn't have much money, and sometimes dinner was just bread and tea. But we laughed a lot and dreamed even more. Ethan worked long hours at the garage, and I started sewing clothes at home for extra income. Slowly, we built our life piece by piece. When our first child Liam was born, I cried the moment I held him. It was like holding a miracle. A few years later, our daughter Emily came into the world, bright and curious. Our small house echoed with laughter and baby cries, and though the bills piled up, the love inside those walls made everything bearable. But life has a way of testing every love story. When Ethan's garage caught fire one winter night, it nearly destroyed us. He lost his tools, his income, and his confidence all at once. I remember watching him sit on the front porch in silence for hours, staring at the burnt remains of his dream. It broke my heart. That was the moment I learned what love really meant. It wasn't just flowers or kisses or sweet words. It was sitting beside him when he had nothing left, reminding him that he still had me, still had us. I worked double shifts sewing clothes and baking pies to sell. We survived because we refused to let go of each other. Eventually, things got better. With help from some friends, Ethan rebuilt the garage. I opened a small clothing shop in town called Threads of Hope. It wasn't big, but it gave me a purpose beyond survival. People started to come, not just for clothes, but for conversation, for advice, for comfort. I became known as the woman who always smiled, though only I knew how many tears were hidden behind that smile. Years passed, our children grew. Liam became a teacher and Emily wanted to travel the world. I supported them even when it hurt to see them go because I wanted them to live without fear the way I once did. But life wasn't done testing me. My mother fell ill when I was in my 40s. Cancer. It came suddenly and stole her health day by day. Taking care of her reminded me of all the sacrifices she made for me. When she passed away, a piece of me went with her. But in her final days, she told me that I was strong, stronger than she ever was, and that she was proud. I carry those words with me even now. There were times when Ethan and I argued about money, about kids, about silly things that didn't matter. There were nights when I thought we might not make it. But every time we faced a storm, one of us held on a little tighter. That's what saved us. Not perfection, not fairy tales, but choosing each other again and again. Now that I'm 50, I look back and I see how far we've come. Ethan's hair has turned grey, and so has mine. Our house is filled with photos of family moments, memories frozen in time. When I walk through each room, I can almost hear the laughter that once filled it. These days, my mornings are quiet. I sit by the window with a cup of tea and watch the sun rise. Sometimes I visit my shop, now run by 2 younger women I trained. They call me Miss Margarit with respect and affection. I feel proud knowing I built something that continues even when I'm not there. Weekends are my favourite. Liam and his wife bring their children over, and Emily calls from somewhere far away. She tells me that she shares my story with the people she meets, and that it gives them hope. Hearing that fills my heart in a way I can't describe. Life taught me that strength isn't about never breaking. It's about breaking and rebuilding yourself again. It's crying at night and still waking up in the morning, ready to fight for one more day. It's forgiving even when it's hard, and believing in love even when it hurts. I've learned that happiness isn't about what you have, but about noticing what's already around you. The smell of fresh coffee, the sound of laughter, the touch of someone you love. And I've learned that life doesn't wait for anyone. You have to live it now, not later. Ethan still looks at me the same way he did all those years ago in that diner. Sometimes I catch him staring and he just smiles. We don't need words anymore. Our hearts understand what our mouths no longer need to say. We've shared countless meals, countless fights, countless nights watching the stars. Our love wasn't perfect, but it was real. That's all I ever wanted. Every evening we sit on our porch and watch the sunset. The sky turns from gold to pink to violet, and we hold hands in silence. I think about everything we went through, the divorce of my parents, the pain, the love, the growth, the losses, and I whisper to myself that I made it. I made it through heartbreak and healing, through storms and sunshine, through every test life threw my way. I learned to forgive, to hold on, to love without conditions. If you're listening to my story right now, maybe you're going through something hard. Maybe your family is falling apart. Maybe your relationship is struggling. Maybe you feel lost. I want you to know that you can survive. You are stronger than you think. Life won't always be easy, but it will be worth it. Every pain prepares you for peace. Every ending leads to a new beginning. Don't give up. Someday you'll look back and see that every struggle shaped you into someone braver, wiser, kinder. Love isn't perfect, but it's powerful. It may not fix everything, but it can guide you through anything. Believe in it, nurture it, and never let go too soon. Now, I understand that my story was never about tragedy. It was about transformation. The girl who once felt broken became a woman who built love from the ashes. The daughter of divorced parents became a wife and mother who learned how to hold her family together. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. It just has to be real. And mine was real. Beautifully, imperfectly, wonderfully real.